last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Alfred.
Boy, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh! You wanna get sued?
Judgment, Alfred.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a-running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love him when he does that.
And welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative, and I wanted to say hi to everyone tonight. Hey Captain Jules, good to see you. Thanks for being here, and thank you for dropping the disclaimer too. Also, I saw Hey Jude. Hey Jude, I love your new avatar of Summer. I saw Ann Reynolds and Town Chat Cafe. And also Molly, I agree. I do like to play that Craddock, and thank you to Jules. I like to play that clip because it does contradict the statements that were made by Katie in a way that was professional, right? Because he says, look, I'm not going to say he's barefoot, but his mom said that all of his shoes are accounted for. And I think it's really an important clip. Hey, Linda, good to see you. Thank you for being here. So yeah, I want to keep that in there and kind of remind ourselves that that's one of the things that Craddock has stated about the evidence in this case, or maybe the lack thereof of the shoes, right? Hey, couponing, good to see you. So I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about Lily and Jack, right? Because their stepfather, Daniel Martell, came out and spoke about the polygraph tests, and he had some really interesting things to say. Jack and Lily have been missing for too long. There we go. There's Jack and Lily. And so there was a vigil for them. Daniel showed up. The mother did not, right? If she's grief-stricken, I understand that could be a possibility or something. But I would like to analyze these small clips with you guys tonight. I think it's important to look at whoever was last with these children. And I think that's why it's so important in Summer Wells's case to look at that as well. And the same goes for our Sebastian Rogers. So they deserve that, right? They deserve us to look at the people and interview the people close to the case. Now, there were about 50 people interviewed, 54, I think it was, people interviewed in Lily and Jack's case. They are as cute as they can be. You know, same old story, same old song and dance, walked out the door, never to be seen again. Now, these are a 4 and a 6-year-old, right? So little kids. And I just believe that if they would have went anywhere around the property, because it's a heavily wooded property, that they would have been found by now, because they wouldn't get very far, right? Even though they were wearing rain boots when they left. I still don't think that that would have made a big difference, right? And we do hear from a hey, WV Holla Girl, good to see you. We do hear from the grandmother on the biological side, father's side, excuse me. But I didn't pull that interview in tonight because I do want to just focus on what Mr. Martell is saying. Not that I don't believe what Grandma's saying. Grandma did the interview. She really seemed very realistic, I guess is the best way to put it. But she didn't have high hopes that Lily and Jack were out there somewhere. And that to me was, you know, we could make of it what we will, but I don't really know what motivated her to think that way. It was a really good interview, and it's my understanding. Hey, Lori. Hey, Sasha. Good to see you guys. It's my understanding that once Maleha and her son split up, it was like he didn't really have much to do with Lily and Jack after that, after they split. It wasn't a typical, you know, father on, you know, weekends or, you know, a couple of days out of the week or whatever parenting plan people come up with, every other weekend, things like that, you know, just the normal, but he, you know, didn't know their colors, he, you know, things like that. So, it seems that to me, according to what his mother said in the interview, which I don't know why he couldn't speak himself. Sometimes people have a hard time doing that, and I understand that not everyone is going to deal with things in the same way, right? I mean, it can be super painful, and it is for anyone that goes out there and advocates, right? Like when we see Seth advocating for Sebastian, he's not having a grand old time. He's not having a great day. He looks worried. He looks urgent. He looks like he is on a mission, and there is only one thing that he's going to do, and that's to try to bring his son home. And we see that with other parents like Desiree Young. And we talked about Desiree and just the way that she is relentless. Same thing with Michael Vaughn's mother, right? Brandy. She is always advocating. It's never easy. So when I see people that are doing that, and then we hear from a grandmother, it's a little difficult because I'm kind of going the whole time, when's your son going to come out the door and sit down, right? And be here for the child. We've seen the same thing with Don Wells. I mean, he's sitting there and there's a cat right there, but Candace, where's Candace? You know? Hey, Canadian True Crime, good to see you. So really, it's a really tough situation. And then again, you know, we're seeing a mother last night who was very much into what she was doing. And then we have a child who was left out into the wilderness to fend for herself. very, very lucky that Claire is still with us, right? Just very, very lucky. And, you know, that is still another developing story. And it's important that we bring awareness, especially when it comes to little Lily and Jack. And now apparently there's been a lot of people coming out and speaking in the case, just not the biological parents, right? Malaya's very quiet, reserved. Hey, Cinderella. And then we have Daniel, who's out in the public eye, and then the grandmother who felt like coming forward. Also, someone else, and O'Grady came forward, which was a cousin of Malaya's. I heard something about that. Maybe you can help me out with that one. That they're thinking that maybe someone has the children. You know, anything is possible at this stage, right? Of the case. I mean, they haven't been found. We don't know where they are. Daniel swears up and down that he did not do anything to these children, and he says he passed the polygraph test. I just don't know about him. You know, he was all smiles. Yeah, Deception Detective does talk about, he's doing a lot of really great update videos, Jules. Yeah, absolutely. And I really like bringing him in to get his, you know, perspective on things, because he does have those little key indicators of when somebody's being deceptive. And I think it's really important to kind of bring an expert in, because I'm not a good expert, but I think that him having those tools and teaching them to us is really valuable too. So we can kind of identify those things too. So I need to get a deception deck. So Sasha says, but dipped to freezing. Ms. Brooks, quote, I hope they're warm. Daniel, quote, I ran up to Lily and Jack's cabins and it took 30 seconds. Revealing. Yeah, he was giving a lot of, thanks Sasha for your comment. He was giving a lot of those very specific times, right? Like the 20 minutes, he gave that out. I do not know what to make of Daniel, but I will say that he has been more vocal. You know, again, in the Sebastian Rogers case, we have Stepfoot. He is very rude, right? He never says anything nice. And we're gonna get into something tonight with Sebastian, so hang tight on that. But you know, I wanted to talk about Lily and Jack really quick off the bat with these clips. But we don't see him being a jerk, you know, and that's going to come into play later because of his interview. So, Sasha says, so I think the big wood playpen got real cold and the parents fell asleep, woke up, and they were in the wood pen frozen. You know, I think that is a valid assessment. Yeah, because look, that the property was creepy in my opinion, guys. You know, whether that was a hunting blind, whether that was a kid's, you know, like a rustic kind of a play fort, right? Tree fort. I was trying to think of the word, but you know, that other pen that they had was absolutely creepy. It was like, who has a wood pen like that? You know, like, unless you have animals, but I don't know. Wood pen, weird. Yeah, they might have frozen the big wood pen, Sasha thinks. Yeah. Well, because their stories aren't adding up right with the details when it comes to them both being asleep and the kids playing next door, then one of them would have heard something, right? And then also, who is asleep still at 10 a.m. when you have two little ones who stayed home from school? We're meant to think that they were not feeling well. At least one of them wasn't. So, hey, Megan Els, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Well, Daniel has been in some chats. He said Malaya is on the run. Oh, Lori, I did hear that about him being in the different chats. Thank you. Lori says, yeah, well, Daniel has been in some chats. He said Malaya's on the run. Wow. And he didn't confirm or deny that she passed the polygraph. He said he didn't know. So, oh, thank you. Hey, Jude. Thank you. I don't know why I popped that up here. Hey, Juicy Jules, good to see you. Their statements reveal this theory. Yeah, I would say so too, Sasha. I think you might be onto something. And, again, that property is really off, right? Something is weird about it. The children's toys were like full of mud. Like there was or like crap, I don't really know what it was inside the wagon. That's what I was looking for. But it was tipped over to the side. It didn't look like it had been used by children, or they could even sit in there. It was so dirty. Hey, Kathy Bartholomew. And I know kids like play in the mud and make mud pies and do different things like that. But it just looked like there was too much debris in there and things like that. And Lori says, Daniel already said someone picked them up at the end of the driveway. Elephant had someone pick them up. Yeah, and I think that is very possible with the way Deerwood O'Grady. Thank you. Hey Jude, thank you for that. Because I wrote the O'Grady part. Wow, and what a unique name, right? Unique name. And I think it could have been super easy for the kids to be picked up from the road. Did I? Oh, I probably deleted it because I have a lot of files I had in here. But the home was close to the road. Oh, of course, I don't have it in here. Boo. But yeah, so, hey, Carla, good to see you. Okay, Lori, I knew that someone picked them up. I knew you didn't mean to say elephant, and then I was like, okay, thanks, Lori. No, I know. It did that to me the other day in the chat. Or sometimes it'll only let me type something out. So I'll say like the person's name and it'll already send it or something. And I'm like, dang it, I didn't want to do that. But no, I appreciate you guys telling me kind of other information too. So thank you so much, Lori, because there's a lot, and they've gone on a lot of different avenues to get information out. That's another thing that kind of makes me ease up on the side eye with Daniel. But I want to play this first clip, and I want you guys to tell me what you think of it. We'll analyze it together, because there's just something. I hope we're not seeing Duper's Delight. I'll just say that, not to spoil anything, but here we go. Oh, hey, YouTuber. Good to see you, YouTuber. Okay, so here we go, guys. This is our first clip of Daniel Martell. He is Lily and Jack's stepdad, and he was last with them, with the mom.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
It's been 6 weeks now since you've seen Lily and Jack. I just want to ask, how are you holding up?
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the world at this point is always wanting to know like what happened. It's been from sadness to anger at this point. And I know the RCMP and major crimes are working around the clock trying to piece everything together, and I'm grateful for that. But it always leaves the question, 6 weeks has gone by, and we know at this point they're not in the woods, and where are they?
Did you feel in the beginning that they suspected you?
Of course. The stepfather was always a prime suspect right off the beginning.
You felt that from the beginning?
Yeah.
But you don't feel that now?
No, I don't feel that at all. I asked for the lie detector exam, the polygraph exam. I gave them my phone. I told them I, do drug tests because there's a lot of rumors online about a drug party. I know the person that said those rumors, and it was just to take the heat off themselves.
Was there any kind of party?
No.
Was there any kind of gathering that someone might have thought was a party?
No.
There were no people at the house?
No. Not the night before.
Okay, you mentioned you offered to take a polygraph test.
Yeah.
Did the RCMP take you up on that?
Yes, they did.
And how did that unfold?
That unfolded in my favor. They obviously know I wasn't lying about anything.
So they said, yep, great, thank you, come in for a polygraph test.
Yeah, it took a little while to set up. And
when did you do that test?
I don't know the exact date, but that would be at least 3 weeks ago, probably.
So roughly 3 weeks after the disappearance.
Yeah.
And I think most Canadians wouldn't have any idea what's involved with that. Can you describe the process? You go in and just tell us right from the start.
We go in, sit down in a big comfy chair, and they have multiple sensory pads. You have them underneath your forearms, you have them underneath your butt, and you have them underneath your feet with your shoes off. You have a sweat gland on one finger. You have a measuring instrument for blood flow that goes in and out of your hand. And you have a cuff on your arm for blood pressure to measure your pulse.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was extremely nervous. Especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lily and Jack?
That was the first question they asked you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What went through your mind when someone's asking you that question so point blank like that?
Your mind has a massive release of chemicals, I guess you would call them. It's like your stress levels just astronomically through the roof, and your body doesn't know what to do because it's not every day the way you're hooked up to machines in an interrogation room where someone asks you questions like that.
What other kinds of questions did they ask you?
All the questions pertain to the death of Lily and Jack. Are you accessory to the murder of Lily and Jack? They were all.
So all of the questions assumed that the children are no longer alive?
Yeah.
There were no questions at all about, did you take them somewhere? Could
No.
they be somewhere?
No.
The police have done a number of polygraph tests. They've done 53 formal interviews. Do you know who these people are?
Yeah.
That's a lot of interviews.
It is a lot of interviews. A lot of them are my family, people that live in the area. And those interviews, typically, my interview was 4 hours. And a lot of the interviews from my family were 1, 2 hours. So there's a lot of time taken up and they ask detailed questions.
Do you know who else actually took a polygraph test?
I do, but I'm not going to say anything that's going to impede the investigation.
Okay. When did you find out the result of your test?
Immediately right after.
What did they say to you?
You did a good job, you passed.
And how did that feel?
Good.
And did you feel that there was any further suspicion on you after that point, or was that sort of conclusive?
No, that was really when I seen the turning point for it's starting to taper off with investigators.
Do you know if Malaya has taken one?
I don't know if I can say it, but I will anyway. Yes, she did take one.
Okay, she took one. Do you know the result?
No. RCMP weren't allowed to tell me I asked.
You said you feel like everyone in the world wants to know what happened to Lily and Jack.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think this is getting so much attention?
Well, just the mysterious and nature of everything and how strange everything is. The RCMP, they have to keep a tight lip on everything, but there's a lot more that meets the eye with the case.
Okay, guys. So yeah, they do have to keep a tight lip on things. I understand that they're not going to give away key evidence in the investigation, and Daniel uses that as a reason why he can't answer some of these questions. But he's not feeling the heat, and that's what he's basically saying is like, look, I know I didn't do it. I know the truth. I've said that I didn't do it, and he's not feeling the heat at all. And I don't know whether to take it as confidence or arrogance, or because obviously it would make me more confident knowing that I passed a polygraph. But it's odd when he says that the police told him, or excuse me, the administrator, whoever gave him the results of the polygraph, said, you did a good job and you passed. But in order for you to like pass the entire polygraph, it would have to mean that you weren't deceptive at all during that time. So because there could be questions that you answered that were deceptive, and there were ones that you told the truth on. So that's kind of the difference in kind of how a polygraph works. But he did go over like all of the specific places that they placed the indicators, or whatever they would call them. You've seen people get strapped up, around their waist and the finger and then the butt, that sort of thing. So, but he says that he passed it. YouTuber, really, and I got some really good information too about this family member, right? So Dearwood O'Grady is the cousin, and he has a theory, and I'm going to play it for you guys here in a second. It's definitely hoaxing, right? And hey Jude, thank you for saying that, because this is what deception detective kind of teaches us, right? To look for these hoaxes. And I'm definitely calling it a hoax at this time. We never liked the timeline. I know we were talking about that a lot here. The timeline was off. Daniel was off. Malaya was off. So, because here's the thing about Daniel passing the polygraph. If he came up with no deception whatsoever in the polygraph test, then that would lead us to believe that there is validity to what Malaya is saying also. So if we think about that, not to say that people pass polygraphs all the time that are being deceptive. We'll just throw that disclaimer out. But I have to say that could indicate some things. Malaya didn't disclose her results, and Daniel says that she did take one. He doesn't know whether she passed it or not, or whether she was being truthful or deceptive. We'll put it that way. Well, and that's another thing. Sasha says, no, if anything, the children weren't even in the house, let alone a party. Well, and see, that's the thing. He says that there was no party, but he puts the disclaimer at the end of that, and he says, not the night before. So when this lady is asking him, hey, about the party that you had, was there because he had asked for the polygraph, he asked for a rug test, according to him, and he said there was no rug party, right? But then she goes, well, was there vehicles like in your driveway or on the property that might make people think that there was a party there? And he said, no, not that night, the night before. So not the night before. Again, deception detective with the lies by omission, right? So there may be, it's not a direct lie, but no, not the night before, but there could have been a party previously. We don't know. So the Indian reservation, yeah, Lori, yeah. And it's interesting, right? It's an interesting theory, because we know that the children are of this Native American descent and are in this tribe, right? And Hey Jude says the cousin said the mom is on the reservation. Now, I don't know how it works in Canada, obviously, and maybe Canadian True Crime, if you're still here, you can help us out, hopefully. But, you'd have to wonder if it's the same here. Like, I remember watching Cops, for example, and they would be, the person would be hauling ass to get to the reservation, right? And the cops would be like, whoop, whoop, behind them as fast as they could, trying to get them before they got onto the reservation. Because once they got on the reservation, they were no longer under the law, as we know it, right? They're under their own law on the reservation. So that has always been a really interesting piece, in my opinion, as well. Subbenical. No. Shuben Akadi. Shuben Akadi. Did I say it right? Shuben Akadi. This it is. This is it. This is where they think the children might be. And, you know, the uncle made, or excuse me, the cousin, according to the cousin, the mom is on the reservation and they call it Shuby. Interesting, right? They call it Shuby. So let's take a listen here. Let me make sure. Okay, I might have to watch it on TikTok though. I have to re-download TikTok. Sorry, hold on. This is terrible. I told you guys I don't do TikTok. It's not my thing. But I need to learn it. I need to be better about it. So let's... Oh, good Lord. 5 minutes? All right. So, but while that is loading up, because that's where the interview is, so we'll have to wait for that. That's really interesting theory. And like I said, I don't know how it works there, but I wonder if they're not under the umbrella of the law there, if they're under their own umbrella. And that would be a very interesting theory where maybe we will never know what happened to Lily and Jack, and maybe they are on the reservation. And boy, that would be bad. Yeah, why are you nervous about that question? Exactly. Well, and you know, that's what the lie detector will determine too, is your reactions to what you're being asked. You know, is that making your heart rate elevated? Is it making you sweat? Is it making you, you know, nervous? Are you showing those physiological signs of that? And that is how they determine, you know, whether you're being truthful or deceptive. Sasha says, what if the sweat gland left DNA on Jack or Lily? Maybe. Well, and you know, you never know. But I think it's interesting that he's saying that he passed it, and he seemed very confident. Like, he seemed like he was very sure of himself. And the heat was, you know, definitely not on him, and he felt them, you know, kind of release some of that when they determined that he was being truthful. And then, oh, okay, so in Justin's chat earlier, okay, so CPS has definitely taken Meadow, right? Meadow is the child that they have, Malaya and Daniel have together, the youngest one, you know, that's only about a year old, a little over a year. She is with the native side of her family, the Brooks. Something just fell over there and it scared the living poop out of me. My bad, I'm sorry. I think something fell off of the... Oh, that was so weird. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know after a day like this. I have a ghost, guys. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so now back to what we were doing. Now it says no, she is now at the reservation in Shubenacadie. Sorry, that one's a hard one. Shuby. They call it Shuby. No, an older cousin, and yes, Malaya's family. Kent Corbett, he says hello too. Just watching for now. So Kent, and that's the Deerwood. Malaya's family member. That is so interesting. That is so very interesting. And, I think that that could be a very viable theory as to what has happened. Why go this route, though? Because there are a lot more rights that people have, right for the Native Americans on their reservation. So that's just interesting. Let me see. Open into TikTok. Oh, so really? I didn't think it was going to take 5 whole minutes. I thought it was joking with me. Okay. Your power went out, Kathy? Oh, no. We've had storms here. It's been like really rainy, and I'm like, oh, I don't like the rain anymore. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like every day almost. Because that's why, like Tuesday, I was wondering about coming up, because I was like, if it's going to be really loud and thunderstormy, but it stopped at night. And finding them frozen was serious adrenaline, Sasha says, because he had to remove them. Well, and he was all around doing all kinds of stuff that day, wasn't he? I mean, that's what he said at first. I agree. Aw, YouTuber, that's nice. No questions that matter. Wow, now we know how law enforcement does not ask the right questions. Well, and that's part of it. And even with the reporter, sometimes it's hard to tell, because like I said, I feel like Daniel might have been leaving something out of the party. He says there was no party, and maybe there wasn't, and maybe the neighbor was trying to take the suspicions off of themselves. I can't say that that's not a motive, because it is. Excuse me, or it could be. It very well could be, but I don't know. I'm still up in the air about it. Malaya's behavior is odd. Jewel says, I would be surprised if his test was any less. Well, and I don't think I think it sounds like a regular poly. Like, it sounds legit to me. I guess it's not common in, and again, if you guys know better, please let me know. But like, Canada is not big with polygraph testing, right? As we are, is my understanding from this case. And boy, we learn a lot, right? From these cases. I wish I could speak French so I can understand a lot of the news that comes out. But Lori says the family member was just in Justin's a couple of hours ago. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, so that's so interesting. Yes, and his name is Deerwood. Oh, look, we have 9 seconds. Oh, look at us go. Sasha says, why not ask if he took them somewhere? Well, and that's the thing. It's a little bit odd, right? But it's not, I don't think it's as far-fetched. And if it's a family member, no, don't track me anywhere, weirdo. Okay. Oh, Jordan Peterson pops in. Oh, Lord, now it wants me to enter a code. All right, hold on. Sorry, guys. I told you I don't TikTok. I don't tickety talk. Oh, it sent it to this one. Alrighty then. Ew, R. Kelly. R. Kelly, ew. I believe I can fly. All right. I believe you could be a weirdo. All right. Oh, Lord. See, and this is why TikTok is like, no, Lady Freedom, you're not. All right. Here we go. Okay. This is the cousin. So where the kids got delivered to, and Malaya knows, right? Malaya knows there's every indication that she knows. Wow, that's really interesting. So that's really interesting. Malaya took the baby and ran off. Sorry, I wanted to listen to that twice. Yeah, that's really interesting. Megan L says, why would they hide them on the reservation? Allegedly, the mom wanted to leave him, so maybe that's why. Well, and it could really could be like she's protecting them from Daniel. But the weird thing is that Daniel was a dad to them, right? In a way, from what he says and from kind of what we're meant to really believe. But then again, he wasn't watching them either. So, I'm sorry, Kathy. Hey, Jude says the cousin says that they're hidden, but not on a reservation. The mom is on a reservation, according to the cousin, Dearwood O'Grady. Right? Like she is not. Or excuse me. I guess he's not saying that the kids are there. He's saying that the mom is there, and the mom is probably there because she feels protected. Is my best guess on that. You know. Well, it is far-fetched, Sasha says. The abductor was ready and waiting. It's a far-fetched theory, not unless the abductor was stalking. Right, that's true. That is true. It's not every day that, the kids are going to be out where somebody's going to come driving by, ooh, kids, and grab them up. I mean, is it completely unheard of? No, not really typical for what we see these days with abductions. I agree. Megan L says, it's strange though, because Jack and Lily aren't his children, so she shouldn't have to hide them. Right. And then Meadow would be the wild card child because she is his as well. Exactly. She would be the kid that to take away from him. But see, she's successfully taken away Meadow, according to Daniel. He hasn't seen her. But I agree with what you're saying, Meg, because that's their child together. So if the pawn or the leverage is that child, but then again, who knows? Maybe we're kind of peeling it back and realizing maybe Daniel was a good stepdad, and maybe he really loved Lily and Jack and didn't want to lose them either, because that's not unheard of either. There's a lot of good dads out there. So I agree with you. It would be weird to use her children as leverage. Yeah. Yeah, Lori says exactly. Hey, Jude. Oh, good. You got a battery charger, Kathy? That's good. Oh, my goodness. I don't like losing power, though, especially if it's hot outside. Hey, Jude says the cousin said the tribe chief wouldn't allow the children to be hidden on the reservation. I don't know. Well, yeah, because obviously there's like a manhunt for these kids, but yeah, so that's good to know though, because I mean, you never know when you're dealing with these different people, right? I'm not saying they're bad. They're probably good if they're not going to allow for that. In my opinion, that would kind of indicate that they would do the right thing. So that's good news. Yeah, Megan L says, I wonder if Canada is the same, though, as far as making them pay for all the resources they have used to locate the children. Yeah, and they really aren't missing. It could backfire on them really, really bad. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I think that, you know, Rachel Todd, mother of Claire Bell, I think that she should be in trouble for the resources that she has wasted. She seemingly brought that baby and left her. So, and then went an hour away and made it seem like it was around that area. Instead, it was, you know, an hour away. So, yeah, the wasting of the resources is a big one because it's, when it's a hoax, those could be better used. The money that it takes to put towards those kinds of searches can be better used for an actual search. But again, I think a lot of the times these parents know exactly where their children are. I feel that way about Sebastian Rogers. Yeah, Lori says, yes, Meg, they would have to pay for the search services. Absolutely. And it's reminiscent of the Sherry Papini. We were talking about that earlier. Sherry Papini. She misused the system, she lied to her husband. She came up with this whole elaborate story. She was with an ex-boyfriend. She was, it was all over the place. So yeah, and see, that's a great point. Jules says, Megan knows, I think so, but that is why they are having they're having issues getting additional resources there. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it causes, right? Because all of the money, and then also they can't put money and resources towards other cases and other children who go missing. It's all bad. Sometimes people get in over their head, though, and I understand where that theory might come into play. Sasha says, I don't know what local law enforcement was taught, but it wasn't anything helpful. Sasha. And I think we're going to watch this next clip, and we are going to kind of go over what he has to say. It's interesting what we already kind of went over in terms of, his polygraph process, and then also kind of, we know about it. Obviously, it's kind of different in Canada there, and they're not as, they were curious about the process and they asked, but it sounds pretty standard to me. And, I think that if he maybe would have shown that he was being deceptive, they would have probably wrangled him in, But Sasha says, don't let Daniel fool you. I just looked up and saw that. Sasha says, don't let Daniel fool you. I'm trying not to, because I really don't think very highly of Daniel. I just don't. Or either of the parents, how they handled everything. It's just really... Yeah, what would be the reason for hiding Lily and Jack is a great question. Again, Meg, when I think about what the grandmother said, the biological father's mother, she stated that, her son pretty much kind of relinquished, the rights away to Lily and Jack, and then she moved on with another person, right? Daniel doesn't seem to be vindictive or have any malice toward Malaya. I think that he wants to get back together with her, but the reason I say that, we'll watch this clip, but I do think that he misses the family life in a way. He's mentioned it a couple times, but let's just watch. I'll be quiet over here.
Is there something that you think the public doesn't know that you can share, that you want the public to know?
That's a hard one because I don't want to impede the investigation in any way. It is still a missing persons investigation. It hasn't pivoted to any type of criminal investigation. But the kids were seen the day before. I know a lot of people didn't know that. I still see a lot of stuff online that the kids could have been missing for days. They were out of school for days, and they were seen in the Glasgow area on camera the day before this appearance in the afternoon.
Where was that?
I don't know if I can say that, but it was near the Highland Square Mall.
Was it with you?
It was with me, Malaya, and Meadow, and Lily and Jack were there too.
And are the police aware of that?
The police were aware of that since.
Do they have that video?
Yes, they do. I also talked to my coworker in the parking lot as well, and he verified that with investigators as well. So, for all the speculation, they were gone days ahead of time, or they were seen the afternoon on camera before the disappearance.
Why do you think the police are asking for video dating back, days before that?
Well, the reason for that is they want to see the traffic of the vehicles on the roads in the area, right? Maybe vehicles that were traveling that area a lot over the last few days prior to hand, or vehicles that weren't seen in the area, or vehicles that were seen in the area, like local people that are, making frequent trips past the house, or which it's all considered evidence. I mean, the more pictures and videos is the better.
They say they have hundreds of hours of video.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if they found anything on those videos?
I think it was up to 2 weeks ago, they had footage that they examined for evidence that was 8 kilometers diameter out from the house. So that was after a month. That's how long it took to get footage and review it 8 kilometers out. So
But what's on the video?
I don't know. I'm only limited by what they tell me.
How often are they in touch with you?
Investigators now, I'd say maybe once every 5 days. And usually I'm the one who calls or messages them.
And how has that changed over the course of the 6 weeks?
Well, from the beginning it was almost daily, tapering off to where it's only like once every 5 days now.
And how do you feel about that?
It's good and bad. I mean, I like to talk to them in person about any little small details I come up with, or anything I can try to bring to their attention which may help the investigation. So I don't get to see them often, so it's always over phone or messaging, and it's hard to really convey what you want to say when you're not in person. But then I also know the eye's not on me. The investigators don't see me as part of the disappearance.
How do you know that?
Well, when you're going from daily to tapering off every 5 days, I already gave them everything on my phone. I'm the one who originally said, here, take my phone. We'll go through all my banking information. We'll go through all my stuff on my GPS from Google.
And you were offering all that up right from the
Yeah, I
beginning.
offered everything.
And why were you doing that?
To show them that I want to get the investigation moving. I know I have nothing to do with any of it. A lot of speculation is, you killed the kids. Let's come out and say it straight as it is.
What do you think when you read that?
It's a lot of nonsense, obviously. I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack. And I just think a lot of people online they're seeking drama. That's the main thing. Everybody's allowed their own opinion, like I said before, but it's hard on the people that were actually there and missing the children. Still haven't got to see any of my kids, including Lily and Jack, and that's been really tough, going from a family of 7, including my other 2 kids that live in Halifax now, Going from a family of 7 in the blink of an eye, your family's ripped apart and you're left alone.
So again, where were the other 2 kids, right? Sorry, my face was in the camera there. I was listening because I got the air going. Family of 7, his other 2 kids, right? So he has other kids. Where were they? He said they're living in a different place right now with their mom or their family or whoever, but they're not with him anymore. But they were, you know. Anne, thank you. That's so sweet of you. Lori said the cousin said, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I keep kicking my table. I don't have it positioned right tonight or something. Lori says the cousin said she took the kids because she wanted to leave Daniel. She had someone pick up the kids while Daniel was sleeping. Then she left to go to her mother's with Meadow. Right. So she just takes Meadow. Thanks, Lori. That's unbelievable, really. And it brings me to a lot of different questions, especially like when Daniel gets into like the seeking drama part. And I have tried very, very hard to not be sucked into the drama in Lily and Jack's case, because honestly, we don't need any more of it. And I think we all know that. I'm not gonna like talk about it long or whatever, but I don't think it's seeking drama when we want answers. So I was a little put off by that statement, but I mean, it is hard if it is absolutely hard if you know the truth about something and people are lying and you just have to kind of be quiet, or you don't want to say anything. You're like, oh, whatever, so I get that part, right? Because there were some things that he said, look, that didn't happen. The party didn't happen. People are just saying that. But he doesn't elaborate. He tells us why, but he doesn't ever elaborate on really, I guess, what that person is trying to take the heat off themselves for, right? But Megan L says, I wonder if she was kind of trapped there, unable to leave with all 3 children on her own. But why not get them out, then leave and tell the police they aren't missing? I just needed to get out. Yeah, that's a great point, Meg. Like, why not tell the police, look, I wasn't feeling safe there. It's an abusive situation or something like that. Whatever. And I can't leave, it might get violent if I leave. We all know that in domestic violence cases, or situations, I should say, it's very typical for things to get very, very violent when someone tries to leave, right? Or they'll take your keys and they will not let you leave. It's a coercive control, and maybe there was a level of that. I will say Daniel does seem calm in his demeanor, but that doesn't mean that he's not putting up a public persona. And so I have to, remember that as well. Sasha says the only other option is the stalking abductor just waiting for the children to come, assuming parents are watching. That's far-fetched. Or a familial abductor, familiar abductor with an opportunity. Yeah, and I think that is a far-fetched theory as well, Sasha. I do. YouTuber, exactly. It's such a convoluted story. If M only hid Lily and Jack to protect them from DM, why not now tell LE they're not missing? I agree. And, the same kind of theory, we saw that in the Sebastian Rogers case. Hey, Holly S. Good to see you. We saw that in the Sebastian Rogers case. We really did. I'm glad you're here, Kiki. 2025 True Crime. Good to see you. So, I mean, and that's the thing. It's just a very convoluted, odd story. It's not believable. And a lot of us parents were saying, you know, like 10 o'clock and they're all still in bed. And, you know, maybe there was a rough night with the little baby, but I don't know. Still, you would kind of, you know, tag in and out of a situation like that, right? You have two parents in the home. You know, mom didn't get much sleep because the baby was up. Okay, let her sleep for a couple hours. Dad, get up, take care of the kids. And then if you have to take a nap later, take a nap. But why are they both sleeping at the same time in the bedroom, seemingly allowing for the children to do whatever and not be looking after them? Oh, wow. YouTuber says, Deerwood said DM spanked Lily and Jack. Oh, okay. Now it's coming out. So he's a spanker. I'm just kidding. Wow. Okay. So that's news. Okay. So he's a spanker and, that's interesting. My mind goes back to the video where Lily was screaming her head off, and Daniel did seem like he wanted to do something in that moment, in my opinion, but then he didn't. Oh, good, Kathy. I'm so glad you're still here. Good. Yes. Hopefully, your phone is charged pretty good, and you could, you know, have a little bit of. Oh, I timed out Kiki. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Kiki. Oh, you did not deserve the chair. YouTuber. Me too. In my opinion, Clarabelle's mother should be charged with attempted manslaughter, in my opinion as well. I believe so. Because, you know, really could have ended so badly. So badly. Jules concurs. So badly, right? We're so lucky to have Clarabelle. We're so lucky to have her. And it just shows, you know, what the Swift police work can do if you get out there. Daniel talked about this radius. He said the diameter of the house, 8 kilometers. And I'm thinking he was talking about a radius and not a diameter. Just kind of thinking out loud there. Well, thank you, Lori. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Don't know how true it is, but that's what I heard. And, you know, so we're going to have leaked information coming out, just like we had in the Sebastian Rogers case, right? Neighbors coming forward. Hey, Social Butterfly. You know, we had neighbors coming forward. We had family members coming forward, right? Like Yada. And then she, you know, she's pulling her back and forth. Now I see, dang it. I banned Kiki. Oh my God, Kiki. All right, let me see. Hang on one second, guys. I'm so sorry. Here, have a party. Have a party.
Weezer, there's someone I'd like you to meet. That looks like an autopsy.
Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. I'm so mad I don't know what to do. I want to know why. Lord, I wish I could understand. I just want to hit something. I want to hit it hard.
Here, hit this. Go ahead, Malin. Slapper.
Are you crazy?
Hit her.
Are you high, Clary?
We'll sell t-shirts saying I slapped Weezer Boudreaux. Hit her. Weezer, this is your chance to do something for your fellow man. Knock her lights out, Malin.
Let go of me.
But y'all don't say that.
Malayan, you just missed a chance of a lifetime. Have a chickapin parish and give the eye teeth to take a whack a ways up. You are a pig from hell. Please, I was just kidding. Come back. Oh.
What is it? What brings you here? Shut up.
Not a very Christian thing to do. And now you gotta lighten up.
If you can't say anything nice about anybody, come sit by me.
It's like two pigs fighting under a blanket.
A girl is fair game until there's a ring on it. And I mean a wedding ring. An engagement ring just means she's ready for one more mistake. Okay, this is perfect. Watch this.
Sometimes I wish I was smooth like Zahid. Of all the people I know, he's the best at girls.
Thanks, Weezy. That's my good piece of ass.
And that's how you do it. Now, I'm gonna go hide in the back because that guy said he's gonna kick my ass and he has a neck tattoo, so...
I am pleasant. Damn it! I just saw Drum eating in this morning at the Piggly Wiggly, and I smiled at the son of a bitch, for I could help myself.
Honey, time marches on, and eventually you realize it's marching across your face.
Guys, I could not get Kiki back. Kiki, I am so sorry. Hey, Baba Rose, I'm so sorry. I am so very, very sorry. I must have clicked the wrong button there. And then when I went back into the studio to fix it, I couldn't find you because I think I have to wait until the stream is over. Jason, yeah, Jules. That's the mashup, right? The gruesome threesome. Yeah, it's hard to believe any of them, Babs. I agree. And I agree with what you said about Rachel Todd. I do agree with what you said about Rachel Todd. Let me find it. Social Butterfly, Malaya left her mother's house while under 24-hour supervision. Yeah, and they told her to stay put, didn't they? They were like, hey, can you stick around here? I mean, who has to tell the mother of the missing to do that, though? You know, unless you're like, hey, I'm going to look for my kid, you know what I mean? And then they might say, ma'am, you know, calm down. We got this. You know, we have all these resources. Please stick around the house so that way, you know, if the kids show back up here or in the event that we find them, we can bring them right to you and they can, you know, be safe and sound in your arms, right? And not, you know, their anxiety, a child's anxiety is going to be heightened at that point, right? And they're going to be scared and cold and hungry and all of it, right? Unless it's hot outside. But Kiki's back. Yay, Meg. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. I felt so bad, Kiki. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. They put everything so close, and so when I go to click something, I have to be super careful that I don't click something else because, you know, they need to put those buttons kind of far away, you know, because, goodness sakes. Baba Rose says, Babs, I don't believe them either, but my gut has told me all along that Malaya knows where they are, just like Katie knows. I agree with that, Baba Rose, definitely. I think Malaya knows, and I think she's afraid that if she gets on camera or if she's asked questions directly, she's going to fudge it up, right? Just like Katie. In my opinion, you know, Lori's like, yeah, 100% Baba Rose, and same with Babs, 100. And I agree. I mean, it's like, Meg says, I agree. Also, Babs, although seeing her TikTok videos, she definitely, in my opinion, has some serious mental health issues. Someone should have intervened and taken baby Claire. I agree. the way that she was so rough with the baby, right? And also the very depressing nature of the lives, or excuse me, of the lives of the TikTok videos definitely spoke to kind of her mindset, what she was going through. And let's not forget about the little dog too. Like, she didn't have to hurt the dog. She didn't have to hurt anybody. No, I want you to chat, Kiki. Oh my gosh, I just pressed the wrong button when I went to hide you from the stage. It's like, it says hide from stage, and then right under there it says timeout, and then ban user and delete and star comment. And so there's like 4 options right underneath of that. And if you don't click the button, the right to get you off the stage, they're right there. And so I'm so sorry. No, I want you to chat. I want you to chat. Bab says, I agree, Meg. Unfortunately, no one did. And I think she made it seem like all is well around others. Well, I think so too. She was definitely, even in the same videos where she was doing more of a somber topic, or she was talking about the ex-husband, which this is the ex-husband. I have not looked into his videos. I do not know if he was wooing her or, using that backwards hat and that chef outfit to get her back, into his good graces. I don't know that. And I don't know if he was playing with her emotions. Sometimes people will do that with, in relationships. I'm not discounting that, because maybe that's why she kind of felt like she was always on the hook with him. Maybe he never did give her proper closure, and that's very possible. And that's enough to make somebody crazy too. But I think that there was deeper mental health issues. Absolutely. The mania we can see it. I wonder what is going on with Kiki. LOL. I see nothing wrong. It was me, Lori. It was me. It was all me. I did that. I accidentally put her in the, I think it was the timeout. It's right next, it's right under the button. Yay. I know, Meg. And she always has good comments too. Kiki's back. Yay, lady accidentally wiped you out. Oh, Lord. I know. Oh, my goodness. The man relative who spoke is the cousin, Social Butterfly, and his name is Deerwood. Oh, boy. Did I forget his name already? Deerwood O'Grady. Deerwood O'Grady. Sorry, I had to look at my notebook, and that's why I was sideways, a little bit sideways. Kiki, people tell me that too. I need to slow down on the research. Oh my goodness, especially when I get into it. Like the one day that I was listening to all of the Chris McDonough replays of the porch interview and things like that, I was definitely on a roll that day with the research, and before I knew it, I was like, oh boy, it's already, time for me to go live, and I'm not prepared. I'm still kind of analyzing all of this. Oh no. She owes me. Next time you do something, Meg, next time you do something, Kiki, you get a freebie because you've already done your time in the chair. Oh Lord. And Tina says, I really hope the mom didn't hurt and drug her in front of the line. Yeah, and I know we're talking about a couple different moms here, so I apologize. One mom being Maleha, she is, the mother of Lily and Jack, but then we also have, Rachel Todd. Yeah, it would be super traumatic, Tina girl. I agree. And that's why they would say, hey, stay at home, stay around where we can just reach you and make sure that we can get, when we do find your kids or your kid, then, you'll be ready for them. Bab says, my son is 24 and autistic. Even though he's so intelligent, he can't do some things that others do. If I abandoned him anywhere, I couldn't live with myself. A mom, no matter the situation, would. Right, exactly. I agree with that, Babs. Thank you for sharing that, and that's really well said. It's like, no, we don't ever abandon or leave our kids, right? No matter how old they are. Um, my daughter's super self-sufficient, but there's times where she needs me, and I love that. I mean, I understand that she's got her own life and she's living her life and she's doing her thing. But if she ever needs me, she knows where to find me, and she knows that, I will do whatever I need to do to help her. Um, I mean, even recently she was between jobs and we're like sending her money because it was like, here, you know what I mean? Don't stress it. If you have parents, you're so lucky to still have your parents, right? And, I mean, it's important, and I want her to feel that comfort, and I don't want her to struggle when I know she's working hard and I know she's going to school and, juggling her life. What's it going to take for you to be comfortable until, when you were switching over to your other job and they would hold the paycheck back, right? And it's like, what's going to help you out to where you're not going to feel that. And that's what a parent does in that regard, even when your kid's like 100% self-sufficient, which she is, and she doesn't like ever having to do that. She's very independent. And I'm super proud of her for that, right? It's a good thing. And so, but whenever she needs it, yeah, heck yeah, here, whatever I can do, because, I lost my mom young, and unfortunately when my mom passed away, I pretty much felt like I was, orphaned, in a way. So I don't want her to ever feel that way. And so, but a 3-year old, and she's so itty bitty. Just so little, and look at her little face. Somebody hurt her, look at her pants are full of urine. This was the way she was found. And she says, my mommy told me to wait here, and she had a lunchbox or a lunch pail, whatever you want to call it. And that's how they found her. And did she stay put? And, I don't know. I don't know how lucky. And, again, with law enforcement officers who were there, hey, Adam Forever 21. I mean, those are our heroes right there for the day, Lori. Those are our heroes. They went out there, they found her, and it's very possible that Rachel Todd told them finally the truth, or where she dropped her baby off at, because. And the funny thing is I don't know this baby, of course, um, little Claire, but I knew she would talk. And I knew she would tell them because I heard her voice, and I heard her talking in a TikTok video, and she was very intelligent, right? And I knew that she would tell them information. Um, and she did, right? She said, my mommy said, wait here. Hey, Hindsight, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So, I have to go over and watch your live, Hindsight. I set a notification, and I don't know if I didn't get it or if I was just too much into this TikTok debauchery. Again, the researching Kiki was talking about. Jules says when the party music was playing, K9 Gator was running around parading his toy in his mouth. Like it was a prize. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. It literally made me laugh out loud because it matched. That's fantastic. Oh my goodness. That's Gator's song. Oh, I love that. That made my day, Jules. Gosh. Gator. That's so funny. I love the video. That's usually like our 100, likes, and I usually play it, but I was like, while I change this, while I fix this, let me see if I can play the video. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Well, and that movie just cracks me up. That Still Magnolias is so funny. Yeah, I'm waiting for my mommy, Babs. I was reported that Claire said, I'm waiting on my mommy. How horrible. Can you even imagine what she went through for 3 days? She had to be terrified like all night, and then knowing in the morning, where's my mom? My mom said she was coming here. And see, that's where I get really upset. And I think that she should be in trouble for being in the position of power, in the position of trust. I know that that is part of what Travis Decker was looking at in his paperwork, stating that they were going to charge him with the kidnapping and the homicide, right? And they mentioned that several times within that paperwork. Look, you're in a position of trust with this child. It shows the level, and especially with the 3-year-old, the level of trust that had to be there for her to stay in the same area where her mother left her, because she really believed that mommy was coming back. And I don't know, that just breaks my heart. I don't understand why why she would do that. And I think the truth will kind of come out slowly, and especially if there's a trial or something, we might be able to understand more. But I think it's very important to recognize, some of the key factors in this case that mirror the Decker case, right? This case, we have a dad really unsafe to be around the children. The other case, we have a mom very unsafe to be around the children, in my opinion. And the one major difference that I will say is it sounds like Decker was trying to get some help. I don't think that Rachel Todd was as self-aware as she needed to be. Because even in the video, she would say things like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It would be like, despair, but then it would be like, but I'm going to raise my energy. I'm going to do this. And she was trying. She was definitely struggling, but I didn't see her really reaching out for help, although she did have a counselor. But it sounded like maybe excuse me, it sounded to me that maybe she was misinterpreting some of what was being said by the counselor or the therapist, and she may have been maybe taking some of the advice out of context. I don't know, which is unfortunate. And Megan L says, I'm not sure I trust Daniel, though. I have an ick feeling that he had her trapped and liked it that way. Wasn't she not living there very long? Right. Well, I can see that too, Meg. And especially when you're living on a property where you have 2 other people that are his family members, it really could have been overwhelming for her, and she might have felt ganged up on at certain points. So I can see where you're picking up on that, and I think that that's a really strong possibility, right? His land, his parents, his brother, or excuse me, his mother, his brother. It could be a really bad situation if those people aren't kind and caring and loving towards you, right? Because a lot of times we do realize that when there's a separation or when there's issues in the marriage, and then the family finds out about it, and then the family starts picking sides. Sometimes they pick and stand up for what's right, and sometimes they don't, unfortunately. And sometimes you learn your place and you realize that, like, the only reason these people care for me is because I'm married to their family member, right? But the minute that I cross the family member, and we see this in Sebastian Rogers' case as well, don't cross those family members, because you'll no longer be under their protection, and you don't want to be the subject of their ridicule and that sort of thing. And so you learn to kind of know your role and stay in your place. And that makes for a very stressful and overwhelming situation. Kiki says, K9, my doodle loves water. Kids were playing in the pool and he jumped in. Oh, how cute. That's awesome, Kiki. Do you have a Labradoodle? Thanks, Jules. Thank you. Hey, C. Taylor. Good to see you, C. Taylor. And Babs says, Lady Freedom, exactly. We love our kids and support them. My son is in college and he's working towards his future, and I'm so proud. Yes, absolutely, right? And if they need a little bit of extra, like, oh yeah, absolutely. And we're happy to do it. Yeah, and you should be so proud, right? And those are the things that, help them to be able to do it, because when you don't have anybody, it can really be rough, and it seems like these people like give up on their kids so young. I'm thinking, well, this little one's 3 and she really needed her mama. She was holding on to her mom. I have the background, I think so, but she's holding on to her mom like right here for dear life, and she looks scared. She looks scared to death. I mean, let's just be honest. She looks scared. She just does. She just really does. But I agree, Sasha. It's frustrating in this case too when I think about it, because why don't they just go get Malaya and interrogate her already? We don't see that. Hey, SA officer, good to see you. I know, hindsight. And she's just so precious, maybe there will be a good outcome here. I mean, the best outcome happened, right? But oh no, your kitty, Sasha? Okay, I missed something. Oh my gosh, Meg, your cats are so cute, those little kittens. And that's so nice of you to rescue them too, and your husband, because that is so sweet. Bab says, parents think that small children don't remember things. I'm 57 and I remember so much from the traumatic times when I was 3 and 4 years old. My mom couldn't believe I remembered so much all my life. Yeah, Babs, I really understand that comment, and I feel that statement. Part of the blessing and the curse of having a good memory, right? And it's a good thing because it's it can be a good thing, but then the bad part is if you do remember those traumatic events, and they can be haunting, and that is one piece that is not lost on me, especially when it comes to like the mental health of the vet, Travis Decker, and then also the mental health of Rachel Todd, right? Because something must have really happened. And then also, not having a lot of friends and not having people to hold you accountable and say, look, don't do that. You're wrecking yourself by doing that. And don't, don't let this guy make you feel so bad, because you're not, you're a good person, and you need people like that in your life, especially when you're going through a breakup. You're not feeling the best, right? You might be down on yourself. You might be looking internally and saying, man, I wish I never would have done that, or I wish this would have went differently, and you're processing it still, right? But the thing that really bothers me about this woman is that she seemed to have this obsessive quality or trait that she was exhibiting against her ex-husband. And it really makes me wonder, in her quest for attention from him, thinking it might bring them back together, we almost lost our baby, and he snaps into, oh, I love her and I just want to be with my family. And, she seems to be trying to manipulate. And I just kind of see that. Oh, hindsight says I misspoke your name on the live and corrected it immediately. I apologize. From now on, I'm just going to say lady when referring to you. No worries, hindsight. My name's so long, I just cut it down even on here. I just put Lady Freedom because it was cut off on the narrative, raw narratives part. No worries. Don't you be sorry that you're totally fine. I so much appreciate, your guys' coverage and all of the information you guys put out. And then, like I said, I know I set my notifications, so, but I heard you guys had a really good live, heard through the grapevine. An SI officer says, I haven't even had time to study this case. I know, SI officer, it's really a good outcome, right? I think it's a positive, and how lucky are we all? We needed, I really think, the true crime community kind of needed that, right? We needed a win. We needed a child to be found. We needed, just that hope, right? We need to keep the hope. And it's so important. Bab says, where do you think Decker is? In my opinion, he's out of the country, been gone the day after he emmed his girls. I think so too, Babs. I think he probably did head off into Canada somewhere. And I think I agree with you too, that I think he went off and he did it like very early on. We haven't heard the specifics on a TOD, I don't think, for the girls. But something tells me that as soon as he had that opportunity, he took their lives and just dipped out, and that was all she wrote. And I think that he got a huge head start on law enforcement. But thanks for asking, Babs. And, I appreciate you as well, because I think that there's a lot to be said there. Jules says, Babs, he has help or he's getting ready to unalive himself. Yeah, Jules, I agree with that too, that there's a strong possibility that might be why they haven't found him either, because he's somewhere like that he's hidden himself and taken his own life. And I can see him doing that. Thanks. Thank you, K9 Captain Jules, gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And make sure you say thank you to Jules and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Thanks, Jules. That's so awesome. Hey, Sammy, good to see you. Hello. Megan L says, I even wish those who had seen her TikToks could have tried to find out who she was and helped just for Claire, because you could see her decline and hear the baby repeating her. Absolutely. The decline was very noticeable, because even in the earlier videos, you see her kind of making a little bit of sense on some of the things she was saying. And don't get me wrong, I was with her on a lot of the things that she was talking about in terms of the pressures of being a mom, being a wife, being a boss, and women wear a lot of hats, right? We really do. And we fought to be able to do that, which is wonderful, right? But I think that there's a misconception in a couple of different aspects. One being that we're supposed to be these perfect beings, and our house is like spotless, and like the dinner is perfect, and like the husband's happy, and you bring him a beer or whatever, and we're doing it all right, and the kids, and we're perfect mom, and we're a perfect boss, and all of our employees love us, and we're beloved by everybody, and we're on PTA, and we're doing cookies, and all of that stuff. And yes, we can be successful, and we can work and juggle, and a lot of us do that all, on a daily basis. I know a lot of you guys do it. I'm kind of just an empty nester now, so I can't complain, but I've been there, and I was a PTA mom, and I get it. I get how that can be a lot of pressure. But then also, I think that little girls are, especially like our generation, I know she was 32, so different, but I think a lot of us were kind of brought up on the, you know, idea that you're going to find this great soulmate and it's going to just be, you know, the most wonderful time and a blissful life. And honestly, even if you find, you know, your soulmate, so to speak, that doesn't stop other factors in life from being very stressful. You know, a tragedy could strike, anything could happen, and you don't want to forebode joy. You know, if you're in a joyful moment, you don't want to wreck it by saying like, oh my gosh, something bad's going to happen, you know, or things have been going so well, oh gosh, something, you know, something's going to happen, you know, because we can all become guilty of doing that. But I think it's really important to remember that even if one part of your life is perfect, it's a safe bet to say that not everything is going to be. Um, and I think if she wasn't so focused on, you know, finding this great love or finding someone that she could maybe even parade around her ex, I don't know, then she just wasn't happy. Then she wasn't looking at her daughter and saying, gosh, I'm lucky to have this beautiful little girl. And even though it didn't work out with her father, I am just so dang proud that I have her in my life. And that's the big takeaway. You know, when you do have a divorce and go through that, I went through it. It's very difficult. You don't want your family to be broken up most of the time. Bab says, how would any mom even post that shit and walk away from your 3-year-old baby and then say she's missing? She needs to be under the jail. I agree. And I don't think that she should have access to her daughter without, you know, supervision, ever, because her best interests are not in mind. Hey, little Miss Sharon. Yeah, they're just not in mind at all, you know? Aw, you can't take Chewy to the vet. What's wrong with Chewy, Ann? Aw. Aw. I'm so sorry, Sasha. Poor cat. Poor kitty cat. We love hindsight. A little bit shared. That's cute. Bab says, yes, sometimes, Lady Freedom, I wish I could erase my memories. Little Claire will remember this all of her life. And mom did this to her. She took out her anger on Claire. I agree. Could you imagine, you know, trust issues are something that are very hard to earn back, right? And in this situation with little Claire, her mother broke her trust. If you can't trust your mother, who can you trust, right? Or your father or your support system, right? Some people have been adopted and they have people that love them and that's their people, right? And especially when they're little, and I agree with you, there's a very good chance that she could remember this forever, and it could scar her, and it could really put her in a place where, who can I trust? And a 3-year-old should never have to worry about that. Not yet. It's a tough realization that we all have to come to, but you know, you want to keep these little ones innocent really as long as you can. In this world, it's hard because you got to be like, watch your back, and you know, you got to teach them that because they got to know about it, you know. Kiki 2025 True Crime says, Lady, I had a lady contact me about a close person to her is on the D row. They're fighting for another trial, saying he's innocent. So I'm covering it. 30 plus years on D row. Wow. Wow, Kiki, that's really interesting. Oh my goodness. You go, girl. Wow. That is a miscarriage of justice if that is the case. I do too, Meg. I love it. Babs, I love your bluntness. I do too. I do too. It's a respectable quality. And Sammy says, "Is there?" Yes, yes, Missy and Sarah. Okay, sorry, guys. Oh no, that dog bites, huh, Sasha? Yeah, I'd like to know too, Sammy, what state he's incarcerated in. Yeah. You know, there's innocent people that are sentenced all the time, you know? Absolutely. Thanks, Meg. You know, I mean, yeah, they haven't found Decker. And I was like, wow, they're hot on the trail, but it sounds like maybe not. OMG, they haven't found Decker. Didn't I see? Where was it? Hold, let me get my notes. Sasha. Hold, please. Let's go get the notes. Yeah, Decker, they have not. They have not. Oh, yes, little Miss Sharon. Absolutely. I do too. I do too. Um, just so much work with all of it. Just every video. The Texas Roadhouse, just all of it. Oh, Tennessee. Okay. Oh, awesome, awesome. Hindsight says, Captain Jules, thank you. We will be talking about the scent on the 27th. Feel free to add your expertise in the chat if you're available that night. Oh, that's cool, Hindsight. Okay. I will definitely be there. Definitely. Yeah, that's really interesting. The scents, right? We heard so much back and forth about that. That was really, really confusing stuff, in my opinion. You know, just really, really confusing. Oh, that's cool, Jules. Jules says, I'll be sure to tune in. I will actually be with a bunch of other handlers on the 27th, too, law enforcement canine handlers, so we will listen in. Woo, that's exciting. That is really exciting. Thanks, Jules. That's great. Bab says Decker has this planned as soon as he knew he had the supervised visit. He and the girls to hurt the mom and family. He's in the wind. I think he's too chicken to commit S-side. Right. I think he might be too. That's what kind of keeps me thinking that he's just still on the run. And I do think that there was something. Okay, so I agree with everything you said, Babs, but it's like, okay, so premeditated, absolutely, pre-planned, even down to when he was in court, I think, pleading for the girls to be able to come with him. I think he knew what he was going to do. It was the first unsupervised visit, as you said. So, yes. And again, we could have the best intention for another person, right? But that other person doesn't have the best intention for us. And so it can really be a dangerous situation, especially when someone feels like they've been backed against a wall, which I feel like Decker feels like he has been. He was losing, everything. He was losing jobs. He was losing time with the kids. He had lost his wife. Barbara Rose thinks Decker is too much of a coward just to take his own life. I think he's playing a game playing a game of catch me if you can. I completely agree with that, Barbara Rose. I think that kind of excites him in a way, in my opinion. I can see him thinking that is kind of a fun little ordeal. And I also think that he may have really felt like he got over on the judge, even though the judge was so reluctant and said, look, this is unstable, sir, and I have to let you know that no matter where you're staying with the girls, if it's not a consistent living arrangement, then it isn't consistent and showing the girls what they need from their father, right? You need, let's go to daddy's place, right? We're going to go to see our dad, and our dad has a place for us, and we play video games, and we eat pizza, we have a good time, right? And they know, and they have their own little space at dad's, right? Those things are so super important. How they were allowing for him to take the girls camping all the time and things like that is really beyond me. And again, I really believe that their mother was not okay with that. Yes, a mom's job above all is to protect, love, and nurture your child. I agree, Babs. And that's any age. I so agree with that. Any age. Jules says, Meg, this is what happens when K9 Gator wants to have a party with his toys at midnight and won't let me go to bed. He wants to party with us. Oh, I love that. I get to see him. He's so cute. German Shepherds are so pretty. I didn't watch Brandon Boudreaux's trial. Lori lost again, as we knew she would. Justice for Brandon. Oh, good. Yeah, Lori, she's one. Jules, I'll tell you that one. She is something else. And then her and Chad in the storm, and I was like, oh gosh. And then, but I was glad to hear it. I was glad to hear it. Oh, Bab says, can you even imagine how confused Claire is? What she went through, what she's going through now, and wanting her mom. So sad. Absolutely, because that's her comfort, even though her mother did this to her. I agree, Babs. And, it's just sickening when I think about looking at the first picture that I saw of Claire. This was the one that we saw, and I'm going, oh, she's not wearing gray sweatpants. She's wearing like a khaki colored pants. Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am, Lady Freedom, because look at this one. I mean, that is because she has stains on her pants because she was having to use the bathroom. I mean, justice for Claire. Justice for Claire. I just can't even with that. And then they want to show us this like AI one, and it's like, no, we need to see this one. Even though it's so hard to look at, even though it breaks your heart, and how could anybody mistreat this beautiful child? We have to look at it. Do you see what her mother put her in? You see the condition she was left in? Stay here. I'll be back. Little lunch bag. Box, I don't get it. You don't leave anybody like that in the middle of nowhere and say, hey, I'll be right back, and leave them there, let alone your 3-year-old, right? It's like bonkers. Innocence Project is amazing, Babs. Yeah, and they bring a lot of those stories to light. Town Chat says, Lady Freedom and everyone that came in, I am at my desk now. I have been listening from my phone in the kitchen, so hi to everyone. Hey, Town Chat, good to have you. I saw your message earlier that you were busy in the kitchen, and I was like, don't make me hungry. Don't make me hungry before the live. We're going to need snacks. Bab says, KP didn't deserve nor appreciate Sebastian. He was a pain in her arse, in my opinion, and then she added in CP into his life, which was horrible. KP cares about KP and CP. I agree with that. And that brings me to the picture I wanted to show you guys now. I know this was circulating for a while. We haven't talked about it here, and I think it's important that we do. So this is from the property on 449 Remington. This was the property that Chris and Katie lived in prior to moving onto Stafford Court. Now you're probably like, okay, Lady Freedom, why are you showing me Chris and Katie's old laundry room? Well, because there's this bag. It's a garment bag. It's hanging in the black bag. And, you know, a lot of us are familiar with these bags, but, you know, you kind of put your dresses and your nice clothing in it. And if you're traveling, your items will not get wrinkled in this bag. It really helps from that. And then you can kind of just hang it up, right? But it's foldable and it's long. So right now it's got garments in it and it's folded in half, right? And I just want to like bring us back over here to this, right? Because there appears to be, I know a lot of people thought it was a blanket, myself included. Some people thought it was a bag. And then I thought, oh, maybe it is a bag. There was, it was kind of an open to speculation sort of photo, right? And no matter what I did to the image, and you can even see it further enhanced by Limelight Girl, you can tell that the black bag has never changed and it's always remained black. No matter which way we slice the picture, no matter what enhancements were done to this photo. This photo is a still shot from the flashlight video. And I have seen other creators lately doing the very same thing that I did with this photo and the person who had it before me did with the photo and all of that sort of thing. So this is a still from the 3 a.m. flashlight video, and this is when the motion sensor light was kicked on. And so this image was captured. It's a still, and then obviously I was able to take and make adjustments to the coloration. And that is what our friend Limelight Girl did as well. And I wanted to compare because I thought the purples really brought out the facial features more so, and even maybe a possible beard. So I wanted to bring this up because we know that there was a garment bag that Katie and Chris had it in their possession at one time. And then again, we see this, which appears that someone is carrying out something in a possible garment bag. And I just really wanted to point that out. You know, again, Sebastian Rogers was last seen with his mother, Katie, leaving the Texas Roadhouse. And he was never seen or heard from again. We're expected to believe that there is zero evidence in this case. But I say not so fast when we have images like this. I say not so fast when we have other creators taking stills from this flashlight video and kind of reconstructing what may have happened. It's very clear to me that this really could be someone in Sebastian's household carrying him out that night. So there, you know, there's that. Absolutely, hindsight says you can't hide from the truth. God bless this child. You can't hide from the truth. It's always going to come out. You know, I mean, good or bad or indifferent, it's going to come out. SI officer says, was her mother rugged out of her mind or what? These freaking people. You know, there was some confusion noted, SI officer, when she was at the souvenir shop, but I really believe that that was probably a feigned type of confusion. You know, oh, I don't know where my daughter is. You know, kind of like with what we see with Katie Proudfoot, in my opinion. You know, oh, I don't know what happened to him. He just poof disappeared. You know. Luckily, the RCMP was on this lady. Well, I think it was, you know what, actually it wasn't the Royal Canadian Police. It was the, Ontario law enforcement. So. Aw, Meg says people dump dogs like that here in a kennel of a massive heat with a bag of dog food on the side of the road. Oh my Lord. Meg, that's so sad. People used to do that a lot in Missouri too. Aw, thank you for hitting the like button, Town Chat. Thank you. Well, I agree, Meg. I agree with this. I'm not wondering if the mother has a moment of sanity and told the police where she left her finally. I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Or they were threatening her. They're like, if you left her out there and she ends up, you know, unalived, then look, this is on you. And maybe they were scaring her, you know, the garment bag Babs. Yeah. This is it. And I mean, it's very familiar looking when we look at the photo and this garment bag, you know. Cinderella says OMG. Oh, good morning, Mama. Good to see you. SI officer says, oh, I'm going to share something soon and ask everyone's opinion. Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, the reason why I'm so adamant about this photo as well is because there was so much insanity surrounding it that I honestly think, and it's just me deductive reasoning, that it's because it is pertinent to the investigation, because it is showing that someone was carrying something out. Bobby the neighbor also confirms this. Yeah, and when in the Navy you have a sea bag, right? And then the pickle bag, Bullhorn Betty was talking about the pickle bag. And a lot of people do think that that's a bag and not a blanket, you know? Yeah, Babs, you got it, right? Like an x-ray, what shows white is black. Yes, and I went over that too when I posted the video of kind of how the cameras work in terms of being in grayscale at nighttime. So we have that effect, right? Put on us, and that's even, you know, highly sophisticated camera systems. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't ones that have better vision or, you know, but you know, it was said that the neighbor had one that was a super duper, you know, dandy one. And where's the footage? Linda Farmer says, after so many stories of this type of thing happening, judges should have sense enough to not risk the child's welfare. When will they just wake up? I understand that, Linda. Thank you so much for your comment. Absolutely. After seeing all these stories, right, that has to set some sort of a precedence. I would agree. And I know that there has to be some laws that would be put in place and, you know, to back that up. And another thing too is if we're looking at negatives, that's another important kind of aspect of the photo too. Yeah, exactly. And some of the black abyss of that night, the flashlight video, taking a screenshot multiple times, you'll find things that your eyes do not see. I agree. They zoomed in on the 3 a.m. car lights. Yes. Yes. Bab says a sea bag, also known as a duffel bag, is a cylindrical canvas bag used primarily by sailors and military personnel to store and transport personal belongings, clothing, and gear. Thank you. Yeah, so it's like a cylinder, right? It's you know, like a can, right? The duffel is long. The duffel is long. You know, so it's like this ways, right? And it's cylindrical. So thank you, Babs. Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. Hindsight says, Town Chat, there has been nothing proven from that audio to date that I'm aware of, in my opinion. It was so hard to make it out. That was my problem with the Hindsight, and I really couldn't decipher either way. And so I'm very hesitant to speak on it in a way that, because I don't know what I'm speaking on. I guess this is the best way to put it. You know, just to kind of put it there. But yeah, but what I'm seeing visually, yes. I mean, you know, no doubt. Sammy G says Katie bent over wearing Katie bent over wearing the same clothes she had on at Texas Roadhouse. She had a bag over the shoulder, which is resting on her behind in the picture. SR's face is on top of KP's head and legs and feet. Yeah, see, and that's interesting, Sammy. I mean, I think that she very well could have carried him in a different manner, and as to distribute his weight evenly to make the carrying, you know, easier. Yeah, SA officer says everyone just used AI to look up what the stacking method is on poor quality CCTV that is static and pixelated. It gives an explanation, but the best way to view. It's on the cell phone in the dark room. Yeah, so the image kind of pops, right? And the pixels, yeah. Thank you for that, SI officer, because I think once people can really understand the process behind it, then they're going to say, oh, wow, okay, so this is how you got there. Because I know a lot of people were saying, oh, that's a fraudulent picture, somebody made that up, even to the point of them saying that it was from the Idaho 4, which I was like, wow, I can't help you. You know, I was really like, I couldn't believe how many people don't understand, but it's okay. But you know, you have to take the time to understand it. You can't just be like, well, I don't know what this is. And, you know, because trust me, I did that myself the first time I saw the photo. I literally said to myself, why are they sending me this? Why is this person sending me this? I'm like, okay, working on Crystal's case, not understanding. And then 5 days later, another person sends me the same image. And I'm thinking, again, why are they sending me this? Then I look closer. Oh, okay. This looks like someone being carried. You know, rest is history. Sammy G says, behind her, I'm sure I've mentioned that I can see the socks he's wearing for the person is wearing, in my opinion, of my eyes and my theory, allegedly, etc. Yes, Sammy, thank you. Full disclaimer on that, because they get really pissy when we talk about the photo, you know, in my opinion. SA officer says the larger of an object that you will view these images, the more distorted it becomes when it's already distorted, sometimes seeming or like Lego people. That is so interesting, SI officer, because that is precisely what people were saying about this photo. They were saying it looks like Lego people in the chats. And it does. It because of the pixels, right? It makes it more of a boxy appearance. It definitely does. No doubt about it in my mind. Excuse me. Yeah, Sammy G. Excuse me, guys. I couldn't agree more. And allegedly, in my opinion, of my eyes, there are at least 4 people. They get out of the toolbox, crank something up, and remove a camera, carry out something that looks like a garbage can or a basket tarp. And that's the activity in the neighborhood that Sebastian went missing. The only activity that may explain his disappearance. It's very important, in my opinion. No, Sasha. Bab says the best thing is that this transaction was caught on video. The Proudfoots thought no one would be awake and ever see what was going on. Truth prevails, in my opinion. Thanks, Babs. I agree with that completely. They weren't banking on the lights, kicking on. They weren't banking on any of that, really. And they obviously, and I mean, which may speak to if something could have happened at the spur of the moment or in a fit of rage, a snap or something like that, and then they needed to hurry up and do something. It could speak to that, Sammy says many things in my theory, in my opinion, from the video on NM's page. I'm pretty sure this is that neighbor's footage, not the other footage everyone else has been looking at. Yeah, and we don't know. And I want her to be careful with that. Because I'm here to tell you, I never experienced any type of problems on YouTube until I created this video of the flashlight still. So there's a lot to be said there. Polly's Cookies, nice to see you. Polly's Cookies says when a child turns up missing within a home and there is zero evidence of a break-in, responsible adults in the home should be held legally responsible for the child's disappearance. I agree, Polly, and I think that we really have to re-examine how the scene is treated right off the bat, Yeah, Sasha says, did you see where they took the layers off the video and you can see them pulling something out of the ground over by the neighbors inside a shed? Oh, I did not see that, Sasha. That's interesting. Yeah, agree, Polly, says Kiki, SI officer. They peeled back the layers and added thermal imaging. Where's Mob Crew, I wonder. Yeah, well, he does the best job of explaining what happened, he really does. He does an excellent job. And it was only when he did his recreation that it really popped off in my head what actually transpired, right? I agree with his theory of the getaway driver, the scout. We also have someone coming from the house. The light source goes back to the house where it came from. That is undeniable. That is a fact. It's not alleged. It's in the video. Clear as day. Why did America's Most Wanted take that out? They showed the flashlight video, but they took the light source going back to the house. That is absolutely deceptive, in my opinion. It just is. SI officer says sometimes it's like they're almost in denial or wanting to purposely discredit it. In my opinion, the ruckus video is credible as well. I have a reason. I believed in the ruckus video as well, SI officer. I always did. I saw what was kind of going on in that video. Absolutely. And people were asking me about the ruckus video. As a matter of fact, when I did this enhancement on the photo and the video that I made. You know, and I just said, yeah, I mean, Megan L says, I thought it was odd that the neighbor put his home up for sale a few days after Sebastian went missing, then took the listing down shortly after. It's absolutely weird. And it's weird that he didn't show the camera footage to anybody but Chris and Katie, in my opinion, allegedly. Sasha says, so whatever they were doing was in the crawl space shed of the neighbors. They can see the activity with thermal imaging by timing the lights. That's a great point, Sasha. Absolutely. SI officer says when those images are distorted already and pixelated and static, when sending, they can become more distorted. Again, they tend to look animated or like Lego people, and then other times perfect. Right. Especially like if there's movement too, right? Because we're taking a still of a video. So we might see some of that movement. Absolutely. I agree. Linda, the neighbors did know about the car, in my opinion. They did. They did know about the car because they were talking about it. Everybody was aware because there was another car in the neighborhood as well around 5 a.m. and that was that Uber driver that was taking the person to the airport. Yeah, thanks, Babs. They did. Sammy says, I feel like there are so many people that look like CP. I don't feel comfortable saying that he is for sure in the picture. Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, it is tough. And this is the thing. I took Chris's, I took Chris and then I took Seth and I put them in a comparison. Seth's not mad at me. Chris was infuriated. You know, I'm just going to put it out there. And I agree. I wanted to make sure that I was getting the right person. I mean, yeah, you know, and again, it was all speculative as well. I mean, his eyes, of course, in those pictures, but if the audio were true, well, that answers that. Yeah, and I wish I could decipher the audio, Sammy. I do. Excuse me. Well, apparently it's done. It's very clear what occurring in the location to dig. You're thinking by the construction site. We'll need to see that one, lady. Yes. SI officer, yes. There are so many questions we don't have answers to. Hindsight says nothing is certain until we have this child or until we have a receipt of something to prove it to be true. We are all in this together. Thank you, hindsight. I agree with that 100,000%. Really well said. Thank you. That's so important to remember that we're all in this together, right? We're all on the same side, and that's like, where's Sebastian, what happened to him, and how do we bring him home? Thank you. And that's so important to remember. Hey, Lolo says the audio is chilling, very hard to understand, but still I caught a little bit at one point if it sounded like someone was crying in the video. I will say that, Lolo, but again, it's just so hard to decipher. Yeah, they said Bobby, the neighbor, Linda, said that the car was sitting, that the car went down Kellen and then pulled onto Stafford and, you know, turned around, like flipped a bitch and turned around and ended up going onto Stafford, right? And then backed off of Stafford and out of the neighborhood onto Kellen, right? Of Victoria Place. So it was definitely seen by the neighbors. Absolutely. Yeah, they did. Bab says the Proudfoots dictated the America's Most Wanted info. Absolutely. They never should have even showed that video if they weren't going to show the light source going back to the house. That's not fair. That's not unbiased news reporting. That's some bullshit right there. Chris, yes, CCSI officer, yes. Hey, Meow, I'm glad you're here. Good to have you. Yes, hindsight says, Linda, per neighbor Bobby's conversation with the person who has the video footage directly, they did see a video as well as flashlights, allegedly. Yes, and something being carried, and they were talking about the ditch. Thank you, hindsight. Yes, absolutely. That neighbor guy, apparently law enforcement, right? Check. And the same guy saying this so bad in the vigil. That's correct. Check. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely, Sasha. So we have it alleged that Chris Carr was at the vigil saying it's bad. It's so bad. And he is the neighbor, also friends with Katie on Facebook, allegedly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, hindsight. Absolutely. She stated it in a call with Terry Lynn. It's in the video from last night. We posted as well. Yeah, absolutely. She told that to Terry Lynn on the phone, and Terry Lynn was in her car and on a live stream. I bet Meg would remember. Sammy says basket and tarp. It's a tarp or a shower curtain, and we have it down to where we can see that it is tied in multiple places with a couple different items, one decorated with little flowers. Makes me kind of wonder about the thick plastic that was found as well, Sammy, because that might resemble kind of like, you know, a tarp or a shower curtain, but if there was flowers on it. Nah, I know how you feel, Sammy. Oh, Lord. It stated that the cop lives behind them. Yeah, he does. He does. So it's fair to say that law enforcement is protecting law enforcement because for some reason the Stankfoots may have used his crawl space hole. Now that is the tight spot to be in. Yeah. And well, unfortunately for him, he supposedly has what happened on camera because of the way that his cameras were pointing. And also he was said to have had very good cameras in place. So I don't think so, Little Miss Sharon. That's a good question, though. Is there any public transport between CP's work and his home? I haven't looked in that, so I can't say either way, but that's a great question. Polly's Cookie says it seems like LE has taken great effort in not examining the lights video and great efforts to dismiss it. I would have to agree, Polly's Cookies. I would. They said they're putting it in Sebastian's case file, but yet we've heard nothing about it, and they don't even mention it when they're talking about evidence in the case. Yes, SI officer. I would love to see it. Hindsight, is it true that LE lived behind? Because in long dispatch says he's riding in the truck searching. It does say that. Oh, yeah. It was debunked, Meg's, the pickup at the gas station with the sleeping boy in the seat as well. That was the Speedway lead. Is that, I'm pretty sure that's the one you're talking about. But yeah, they did. I agree, hindsight. If they know more, they're not discussing it. I wish they would give an update on Sebastian's case, Social Butterfly, as well. Absolutely. Why not? Why not just come out and let us know what's happening? Just even a little update would be good. Well, and that's, some of it did come out, Kiki says. I'm sure neighbors have audio on light video. I have Ring cameras that pick up audio. That it is alleged that there is that type of video out there. However, we have not been privy to that. We haven't been privy to it, unfortunately. But see, it's very hard to decipher. You can almost not really make out a whole lot in it, but it's very important to go over. Bab says the Proudfoots tried to say it was a trash truck, that it was DD, it was a neighbor boyfriend, and it was the neighbor taking out the trash and a neighbor walking his dog. Really? Oh, I know. They've said it was like so many different things, right, Babs? And then they're like, oh, look at the footage that SF has of a person in the neighborhood, and it's like, but LE debunked that 2 days in. They've had that, you know. Aw. Good to have you, Meow. Thanks for being here. Whoever stated something about the shed and something from the ground, state again, or I can watch replay. Very, very bad, more than we could ever imagine. Yeah, and yes, SI officer, and that's been alleged to have been said by, the neighbor. And that doesn't sound good at all, Very, very bad is not good. No bueno, right? Polly, yes, says Sammy, because if you abandoned or neglected that 15-year-old, you'd be in jail, but I guess it's okay to just say, oh, he ran away. And we know there was, ABUSE, and we know there was neglect involved in the Sebastian Rogers case, no matter what. Okay, Ann Reynolds says, I remember it was on Terry Lynn, and I remember that. Thanks, Ann. Yeah. Yeah, see. Hindsight says allegedly the person is a reserve PD. That's what my research came to Hindsight. There was only CP's own words that he was the one taken around, and he said, we don't know the truth or rationale for that, if so, in my opinion. It's hard to find truth or rationale in any of the things. Hindsight really well said that Chris or Katie have said, for that matter. Sammy says, I believe the ruckus, then we were talked out of it, but now see if you have the right software, you can enhance the video and see things around and behind it. Absolutely, Sammy. That's the whole thing. And understanding it is even more helpful too. Kind of, seeing what you're looking at, treating it like a negative, those types of things are really important. And Bab says, CP's been very quiet lately. Does anyone know if he got faith for the summer vacation? Dear God, I hope not. I have not heard anything about that, Babs, really. And I know sometimes Nina on her Facebook will, write messages. Well, she did last time anyway, to Faith. I hope not either, though. I can't imagine the fear that she has to feel. I think she does, Sasha. I think she does have a family who cares. To my knowledge, the grandmother was wanting to see her, and the mother was using her as a pawn, Oh, thanks, Meg. Yeah, the truck at Speedway. That's what I was thinking, too. Thank you. Linda says you could use an Uber. Kiki says, hindsight, if you listen to the long dispatch I have on my live, there's a white truck, LE, is driving around, then another truck locked with keys in it. Not sure where that was parked. They were trying to move. Thanks, Kiki. I'll have to go look at that. if anyone wanted to be undetectable, it would be an Uber driver. Well, and they knew that the Uber driver was there in the neighborhood and that they were, you know, going around in the neighborhood to pick the person up for the airport. And, you know, that was confirmed. They've confirmed a few things. Yeah, absolutely. The dispatch is so super important, hindsight. I agree. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree, Sasha. It is disgusting. It is, and it's frustrating as hell. I mean, it really is. And I think it speaks to the fact that they are protecting each other, especially when that's one of Katie's Facebook friends. I would too, Meg. I would like to see more of the Texas Roadhouse video to see if KP left her booth when Sebastian went to the bathroom, or if she was visited by someone while he was in the restroom. I'd like to know that too. I'd like to know every single detail about that, because gosh, that was the last time he was seen. Timing in the light and using thermal imaging on the shed, the neighbor's shed, and infrared to see inside. Yeah, there's a lot there. Ooh, a motorcycle in a different location, possibly, says SI officer. Yeah, there was the gray one with no license plate, that little hatchback. The gray hatchback. Makes you wonder. Definitely makes me wonder. Oh, and Katie and Chris are still silent. Yes, they are. Well, and Katie has been silent. You know, she'll go on and peddle her bullshit on America's Most Wanted. That's the last time we've seen the likes of her. Well, that's a great point, Polly. Polly's Cookie says, thank you. And if you have a child in danger of eloping, you have the responsibility of keeping the child safe by putting safety locks or alarms. I agree with that. And that goes for, you know, an adult as well, you know, because I've heard people who, you know, and I'll even say a good friend of mine, her father had Alzheimer's, and they had the alarms on the doors and the windows and things like that. They were disabled, but they had them. Kiki says also on dispatch, they mentioned a realtor opening a house, sounds like, and a house was clear and realtor not seen. Sebastian. Oh, that's interesting too. And I wonder which realtor that would be. Or view view the Texas Roadhouse an hour before, possibly, to see if anybody's waiting in the bathroom. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to kind of examine that as well, who was around that area, because there was a lot of sketchy characters, let's be honest, you know. Some shady goings on, in my opinion. Babs says, why hasn't KP or CP done any public pleas to find Sebastian since the 1-year anniversary? They're trash. I mean, I don't get it either. You know, this is one of the last things that Chris said about Sebastian, which I thought was, you know, a real shitty thing to say. But here it is.
Very high functioning.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's why, like, I was trying to just put it out there, is like, everybody has come up with this idea, and that's not the case. Mm-hmm. People wouldn't know Sebastian. Like, if we had never said he was autistic, people would not have a clue that Sebastian was autistic. They would thought something was wrong with him, and not ever said autism.
Right. And you know what? If he
So, and just so Chris knows, it only took me 5 seconds to realize that there was something wrong with you and I couldn't even see you. Yeah, Kiki, something wrong with him. His teacher, excuse me, Patricia Slamansky, she said that if you saw Sebastian on the street, then you would think that he had no deficits at all. His own stepfather says, oh, well, you know, you might not know he's autistic, but you know something's wrong with him. How rude. Wow, he's nuts. We think something is wrong with them, not Sebastian. Wow. Absolutely, Sasha. It's maddening. How dare he say something like that about Sebastian? You know, it's just like, what are you thinking? You know? Lord have mercy on my soul, Meg says. Oh, gosh. You know? I mean, it's like, I keep that clip in there because I'm just thinking to myself, this is one of the last things that he has said about Sebastian. And even though he thinks that he was being mild or like, you know, maybe he thought that he was being nice, but it comes off as just so rude. And yeah, a very hot place in hell, in my opinion, too. You know, and it's sad because like, who speaks of anyone like that? You know, look, none of us are perfect. Not one single one of us is perfect that we should be looking at another person and saying, oh, well, there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? You just shouldn't do that. It's not right. Especially when it comes to a kid, especially when it comes to your stepchild. I know that is Seth's son, and I get it. That is Katie's son, and I get it. Because, you know, I really don't feel like Sebastian was treated like a son by Chris. He can say it all day long, but when you say things like that and you can't even give the kid a compliment, you know, it was Granny's panel. Granny's like, you know, he's very high functioning, right? And she's explaining that, and then Chris just takes it off the rails, and it's like, why? You know? Oh, that's a good point. Sammy says, don't forget the newspaper guy, and SF doubled down on that, saying that the TBI questioned that newspaper guy, and that it's been verified. Absolutely. Yes. A little muscly arm paper boy, you know, looking for Mr. Chris over there. And, you know, yes, Polly's cookies. It comes off as ignorant. That is what's wrong with you, Mr. Chris. Absolutely. So ignorant, in fact, that he has no idea. You know, again, whoop, right over the head. Has no idea. We can't help you out, Chris. You know, you're not pervy. And, you know, and yeah, it's just not. And you know, that's the big difference that I will say in Daniel Martell's defense, right? He's not out there saying disparaging things about Lily and Jack. He's not like, you know, being rude per se to the media. I mean, yeah, he's making statements talking about how, you know, people just like the drama, and some people do. I can't say that his statement is completely false, but excuse me, when you don't come out and say the truth and tell the truth, then people are going to have questions. And that's not liking drama. That's wanting answers, in my opinion. I feel like I need to go pluck my eyebrows after hearing him speak. Right, Meg? Oh my gosh, or rip out some hair. Oh my gosh. Everything's verified. Little Miss Sharon SF says everything's verified. As if we can believe anything that comes out of his mouth. And he didn't do anything to advance the case, in my opinion. He brought up some old video and tried to pass it off. Sasha says, I don't know what's happening with people. They don't have empathy. They don't care about repercussions. They get kicks out of it. Is awful things. I don't know. No rugs, so literally demons. Right. Well, I mean, yeah. You know, something is off. Something is not right. And yeah, if you can't blame it on that, the Wolf of Nova Scotia, Sasha. Megan says it. Well, Miss Sharon SF couldn't verify his ass from his elbow, in my opinion. Oh, Lord, I would have to agree. That's a good assessment. Oh. Kiki, I so agree with that, and I'm so sorry that you were told that. I do not agree when a doctor says that to people about, you know, any situation. Oh, you got this long to live, or oh, you're never gonna do this. Your kid's not gonna do this. You know, I agree, and God knows He's your baby no matter what. Kiki, that's so well said. You know, and giving him. Kiki says, while pregnant, I was told my son would have Down syndrome and spinal bifida and wanted me to further test. And I said, what's the risk of hurting him? They said 35%. And I said, no. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a high risk, right? In my opinion, a 2% risk is scary when you're thinking about your child, you know, absolutely. 100%. Oh, see, and that's even better. Kiki says, and there was nothing wrong with him when he was born. Nothing, right? So he didn't have Downs or spina bifida or anything. See, and you would have taken that risk, and then, you know, if something came of that, then that would have caused something to happen. Oh my goodness, you know. What's the vampire trilogy? Because these people remind me of that. What is it? Are you talking about the gosh. Oh, my daughter's she's gonna be like, come on, Mom. She loves the vampire. She likes the vampire books. Oh gosh, you guys are gonna get it before me. I know it. Twilight. There you go. Thank you, guys. Commonly used to gauge reactions to certain words and phrases, or driving a certain area, or people getting uncomfortable here or there, or talking about this or that, or when we ask what they think. Yes, I absolutely, absolutely, Sammy. And the only way that we can. Oh, okay, I see this. Sorry, that's where I was a little bit confused. So Sammy says, because I thought you were talking about the riding around with CP. So I do want to say about CP riding in the car that I believe that is 1,000% what happened, because my background is law enforcement, public safety, and that is a technique that's very common. So yeah, they're wanting to drive him around and see if there's reactions, right, to certain things or certain questions. I agree with that. Yeah. And Chris thought that he had, you know, gotten a ride along, and he was all like, oh yeah, they let me ride along, but they were watching him. I agree with that, Sammy. Absolutely. No doubt about it, you know. Good night, Anne. Thank you for being here. I'm going to hop off of here too really soon too, guys. Yeah, CP brings out the worst in me too, Meg. Yeah, I'm good till I hear him speak. I know. And that's kind of part of the reason why I haven't done, you know, the lives that he was on, and when he did that tour before the court date and stuff like that. So little with Asperger's, was born 654 grams light. Then a loaf of bread. Oh my goodness, so tiny. My good friend, a good friend of mine's grandson was so tiny like that too. Born prematurely, and just so, it's just so. I was like telling nurses, be careful with him. They're like looking at me like I'm nuts, and I'm like, I'm sorry. sorry, but you know, they're like, we do this all the time, ma'am. And I'm like, I know, but you're being a little too rough with that baby. He's a tiny little thing. I was afraid to hold him. I've never been afraid to hold a baby. You know, I'm like, give me that baby. Let me see that baby. But this baby, oh, he was so tiny. Oh my goodness. Oh my Lord. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Babs. Thank you. Thank you so much. XOXO to you too. Thank you for being here. You guys are great. And I appreciate all of your comments and just the smart observations. And I really appreciate you guys, you know, being here with me night after night. And tomorrow we'll be talking about some other things. I do want to go over the interview with Grandma, right? Oh, congratulations, Carla. So I do want to do that. I want to do that with you guys tomorrow. I think that'd be good. And then, you know, I'd like to pull in maybe some more things about Sebastian Rogers and talk. I think that it would be a really great idea to start over with another letter writing campaign. So I want to do that. Hey, John, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So I do want to do that. And I think it would be, you know, something that we can maybe get some traction again, planting seeds and letting them know, hey, we're here. We want you to look at Sebastian's case. We need you to. He needs to be found. He's now 16 and he's been missing, you know, and so super duper important. You know, we need to do that. We need to bring Sebastian home. I also have something special planned for tomorrow, but I can't tell you what it is. So you'll just have to be here to find out. I love you all so much. Please stay safe out there. And thank you all so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you.